It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon when Jonathan Baker, a 39-year-old warehouse manager from Columbus, Ohio, found himself parked outside a dimly lit coffee shop. He wasn't there for the coffee. He wasn't there for comfort. In fact, he wasn't quite sure why he was there at all. Life had been gray for some time. Not dramatic, not catastrophic, just ill. He had a stable job, a decent home, 2 growing kids, and a wife who loved him. But somewhere in between the responsibilities and the routine, he had lost something. Maybe it was himself. That's when he remembered a conversation he had overheard a week earlier at a grocery store. A young man, probably in his late 20s, had leaned over to his friend and whispered, "I swear, give that guy 25 minutes and he'll change your whole perspective. 7 years of clarity for 25 minutes of your time." Jonathan hadn't caught the name or what they were talking about exactly, but he remembered the conviction in that kid's voice. And now, here he was inside the shop, sitting opposite a stranger named Christopher Lee. Chris wasn't what Jonathan had expected. He was in his early 40s, wearing a faded denim jacket over a clean white tee, sipping black coffee. No flashy accessories, no books, no sign that he was anyone special. Yet, the moment he looked up and met Jonathan's eyes, there was a strange calm to him. It was as if he already knew why Jonathan had come. "You're not the first to show up curious," Chris said casually. "I don't promise miracles. I only offer clarity." Jonathan smiled nervously. "I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess I just need something to shake me awake." Chris nodded. "Then give me 25 minutes. If it doesn't change something inside you, I'll buy your coffee and never bother you again." And so the clock started. Chris began with a simple question. "What do you think is the single most valuable asset you have?" Jonathan replied almost instinctively, "My time." Chris smiled. "You're right. But most people don't live like it. They waste their time acting like they have an infinite supply. They wake up, scroll their phones, complain, compare, consume, and repeat. They ignore their health, relationships, dreams until something breaks. But what if I told you that small changes, made consciously over 25 minutes a day, could compound into a better 7 years? Jonathan raised an eyebrow. "How?" Chris leaned forward. "By doing what 95% of people are too distracted to do. Pay attention. You don't need to read 500 books or move to a mountain to meditate for 12 hours. You need to take 25 minutes a day and divide it into 5 intentional acts. 5 minutes each." Jonathan listened, intrigued. "First," Chris said, "spend 5 minutes in silence. No phone. No music. Just you. Sit down, breathe, and let your mind catch up with your heart. Most people are running so fast, they never stop to ask where they're going." Jonathan nodded slowly. "Second," Chris continued, "use 5 minutes to move. Not a gym session, just a walk around the block, some light stretches, jumping jacks, anything. You don't need a six-pack. You need momentum. Motion creates emotion. When you move, your body signals your brain that you're alive and ready." Third, 5 minutes for gratitude. Write down 3 things every day you're thankful for. They can be small. Your morning coffee, your daughter's laugh, the way the rain sounds against your window. Gratitude rewires the brain to look for what's right instead of what's wrong. Fourth, 5 minutes to learn. Read a page of a book. Watch one educational video. Listen to a podcast. Just something to feed your mind. In 7 years, that's over 127 hours of knowledge. And last, Chris said, spend 5 minutes giving. Text to someone you love. A kind comment on someone's post. A note for your child's lunchbox. One tiny act of kindness that echoes through someone else's day. Jonathan looked down, slowly absorbing the simplicity of the message. "It almost sounds too easy. That's why most people ignore it," Chris replied. "They chase giant transformations while ignoring the power of consistency. If you do these 5 things every day for the next 7 years, you won't just be better. You'll be a completely different person." The timer on Chris's watch buzzed. 25 minutes, he said. "That's all I ask. Try it for 1 week. And if nothing changes, toss it away. But if you notice even a tiny shift, keep going. Jonathan didn't say much as he left the coffee shop, but something inside him was different. There was no sudden burst of motivation, no dramatic music playing in his head, just a quiet knowing that this mattered. The next morning, Jonathan woke up 25 minutes earlier. He sat quietly by his living room window. The silence felt strange at first, but then, peaceful. He did some slow stretching. Nothing fancy. Just enough to feel the stiffness in his spine ease up. He jotted down 3 things he was thankful for: his wife's patience, his son's sense of humor, and the smell of toast. He read 1 page from a book that had been gathering dust on his shelf. And finally, he sent a short message to an old college friend saying, "Thinking of you. Hope you're doing okay." By the end of the week, Jonathan felt lighter. He hadn't changed jobs. He hadn't won the lottery. But his mind felt clearer. His heart felt more grounded. A month later, Jonathan's wife, Rachel, noticed the change too. "You seem calmer," she said one night while they sat on the porch. "Like something's shifted." Jonathan smiled. "I met a guy. Said he could change the next 7 years of my life if I gave him 25 minutes. She laughed. "And did he?" "Maybe," Jonathan said, sipping his coffee. "But I think I changed it myself. He just reminded me how." Over the next year, Jonathan stayed consistent. He missed days, of course. Some weeks were harder than others. But he always came back. He started journaling more. He stopped rushing breakfast. He called his parents more often. He even signed up for an evening business course he had always been too nervous to try. One evening, he helped his daughter with a school project and realized it had been months since they had truly laughed together. His job remained the same, but his attitude didn't. He became the guy at work others came to for advice. His energy changed and it rippled out. His kids became more confident. His marriage deepened. Even his sleep improved. 7 years later, Jonathan stood in front of a small crowd at a community center. He wasn't a speaker by trade, but that night, he was invited to share his journey. He smiled as he began. 7 years ago, I gave a stranger 25 minutes. And in return, he gave me something better than money or fame. He gave me clarity. Every day since then, I've taken 25 minutes for myself. And today, I can say with complete honesty, those minutes changed my life. The room was silent. Not out of awe, but out of resonance. Because deep down, everyone in that room knew they had 25 minutes too. The only question was, would they use them? Somewhere in the back row, Chris watched quietly, sipping his black coffee. He didn't need recognition. He just needed more people to remember what matters. Because sometimes all it takes is a shift in how you use 25 minutes to change the next 7 years of your life.